Okay, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with my very special guest,
Melvin McKinney. How's it going? Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. All right. So, do you use a stage name?
I do use a stage name. Melvin McKinney is my chosen stage name. Legally, I go by something completely different, but Melvin McKinney is
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So how did you get into comedy?
So I had always been accustomed to being on stage at some point or another, be it either in theater or, who knows what. And I've always had a knack for like writing, and like I've always loved making people laugh, even like as a child. Life took me to the military. There I got like more comfortable on stage by myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I used to host events for the Navy on board my carrier.
Oh,
and then I don't know. I've always been just kind of honest about my opinions and my experiences, and that kind of transparency makes people comfortable. And then one day, one of my friends, we're not really cool like that anymore, but she was like, "Dude, why don't you just give it a try?" And I was like, "Well, fuck it, let me look around, let me see."
Yeah.
And I just did it, I think my first mic was Lamplighter.
No way.
Yeah, Lamplighter is my first mic ever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what year was that?
I just hit my 3-year mark this past February. So was that 2022?
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
3 years ago at the Lamplighter, dude, and here I am. You know what I mean? Still in San Diego.
Oh yeah. So did you get addicted right away, or?
Not necessarily right away. Oddly enough, my first set at Lamplighter didn't go bad. You know what I mean?
Crazy to say.
Like
it's a bar mark. Like, weren't paying attention.
No, that's the thing. I think if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong about this, but that was my first mic was also Sam Schwimmer's first mic at Lamplighter. Maybe, I don't know if it was her first or whatever. I know it was definitely my first. And we both just kind of got up there and did our thing. She had them fucking rolling as she does now. You know what I mean? And then I think I followed her, so it was like, oh fuck yeah, you know what I'm saying? She's already got the crowd going.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So it's obviously easy to follow her. You know what I mean? But yeah, no man, my first set didn't go. It wasn't bad. Like I wasn't as practiced as I am now because I didn't even have like necessarily a format as far as like my joke writing and things of that nature. Nor did I even have like the principles of how to approach them that I do now. Right. But that first set wasn't bad. And in retrospect.
Oh, super cool.
Mm-hmm.
So were you recording your sets right away, or?
The first set I didn't record. My friend recorded. After that, anything that I could record, I tried to one way or another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting like little collar mics or having like the stand or whatever the case may be. Simple stuff. Little extra lights for like my face on like where it's the portrait camera mode. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Going
above and beyond already, huh?
By the time I started doing stand up, I was already creating content, doing other stuff. Like I was doing think pieces and bass videos at the time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Completely different path as far as like content creation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's cool. So what is your writing process for comedy?
It's evolved. You know what I'm saying? It's evolving still. Presently, what I do now, if say for instance a thought comes to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I noticed that it had like it's always happened. I'm sure every comic goes through it where like something funny will come to you. Excuse me, and you just kind of like that would be funny, and then you just kind of discard it. Now it's like those funny thoughts, if I can expand on it immediately, I write it down. You know what I'm saying? Or jot it down rather in my notes app.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know a lot of people keep like the handwritten note. I don't care.
Crazy.
I understand.
I've lost jokes because of that. So
you know what I mean?
In the cloud, it's like,
you know, it's there. I can go back for it whenever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it's that, you know, like I'll have like an idea of, say for instance, an experience or something that obviously a lot of comics do, like the topical thing. You know, what's going on in politics or the world around us, rah, rah, rah. You know, and if I can expand on it, or even just something here that's more niche and more, I guess, ethnically particular to like America, like, you know, you go and pick that up or whatever. People be like, that's the thing that we do. It's I do that, but if I can't expand on it, I go, well, whatever. You know, that's funny, but whatever.
right.
You know, if I want to bring it up like on stage or whatever the case may be, it'd probably be like you know, hey, how y'all feel about this? Yeah, you fucking with that? Yeah. Okay, yeah, shut up. Anyway, and then back to my set. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. But it's definitely evolved at least to that point. I don't know what it's going to turn into over the years. You know, with the years to come, but that's where I'm at.
Cool. Let's see. So, who's the funniest person in your life right now?
In my life right now, like my life.
Yeah. Not some famous comedian.
Right.
Public figure that you don't really know.
Probably. Damn, who the fuck is funny and shit? Like a lot of my, so like obviously like people here, you know, doing this, you meet and have funny friends and shit, you know, funny people and this, that, and the third. But if I had to pick somebody in my life who I'm always like laughing with, it's one of two people, you know. They're both women. One's my godmother and the other's my mom. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
Anytime we're on the phone, we're either having a conversation kind of like this, you know what I mean, where we're able to, I guess, speak plain English, you know, for whatever, you know. And then sometimes we just shoot the shit and laugh and you know, and a lot of the time, like they encourage my bullshit. You know, so it's like, you know, like my godmom especially. My mom is a little more like, okay, Melvin, you gotta, okay, like I understand, you know. Like my mom tries more so to keep me on the path of righteousness, so to speak. You know, but like my godmom will definitely, she feeds into my bullshit a lot. They both do. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. Both of them, I think, and then like after them is probably like my pops, but I think more so is because as I'm getting older as a man, I can relate more to where he was when he was a man my age. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. So it's like he and I shoot the shit in a very different way, you know, but it's also funny, you know. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So I asked this of everybody. I don't always know the answer to it.
Okay.
I can already guess maybe what it is, but when did we meet?
If I'm not mistaken, it might have been it was either Lamplighter or it was at Mission Brewery. I'm pretty sure it was at Mission Brewery.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I met you there. I think I was doing like I had met a comedian at Lamplighter who told me about Mission Brewery. Went to Mission Brewery. I think I met you there.
Okay.
Back when Paolo was still hosting it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. Somebody was hosting it then. I don't know if it was either.
I don't think I went there until Josh and Mergle was hosting.
That's who it was. I met Paolo there then though.
Okay.
But yeah, Mergle. He's doing the stuff in North Park now, no? Or is it moved?
I can't keep track of everybody.
Right. No, exactly.
I'm not getting invited. I'm not getting invited to those shows, or they're going at the same time.
You know what I mean? It's busy. It's busy, man. Shit's busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like right now it's crazy because like the numbers are down for for Quantum Brewing this week. It starts tomorrow. And I think last time I looked, 7 people signed up for Friday, 4 people signed up for Saturday. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I got some features, but I don't know if we're gonna give them an hour and a half show at this point. And kind of like bring in a headliner or something.
Gosh, somebody will look. You know what I'm saying? The talent is out there for sure. You know what I mean? Especially here.
Yeah. I just have to like look at it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll have some more time to look at the numbers again and go, okay, we're gonna add more feature spots or something. You know, because I want to please
the crowd, keep them
crowd and
well fed.
Bargain or
right.
Or they get tickets from Eventbrite. You know, yeah. So, have you ever traveled to do comedy?
Yeah, a few different times. Nothing necessarily crazy yet. I had something in Atlanta that fell through, but other than that, like I've done up and down California, and then out in Arizona. You know what I mean? Hadn't really spread my wings just yet. It's a lot of networking, I think now. You feel me? As far as just one thing that I had to learn, and I learned it from the little tour we did. Not little tour. I got to stop using that in my, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't little. It was my first tour ever. Right. You know what I mean? That in and of itself is huge. That's memories. That's experience. You know what I mean? And
how many cities was it?
4. We did 4 cities. Awesome. We did Litchfield Park, Prescott, Flagstaff, and then Lake Havasu City. Good times, great. Every single crowd was great, which is fun for us, obviously. Nice. You know what I mean? I think probably the hardest.
Were you traveling with some people?
A few comics from out here, Jax Vets, Ashley Amber, and Ben Keltner. You know what I mean? We were out there on He Can't Read's, I think, Virgin Tour. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know he's done another one since. I'm not sure if he's done another one since the second. But we were kind of like the first to go with Jack and He Can't Read to go and, you know, show Arizona some of what we got here. And I think his other ones are going further east. Like I know there was talks of like going up north and like the Midwest and things of that nature. So like that in and of itself is going to be big. But so I'm grateful for the opportunity I've been a part of that so young. 1, so young in comedy, and then 2, so young in it's inception. You feel what I'm saying?
Sure.
You know.
That's cool. So do you have a hobby or passion that's not related to comedy?
Bass. You know what I mean? I love bass guitar. As far as like hobbies go, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a passion. I adore it. I adore the bass. And I enjoy playing it even if I don't have something that I'm trying to do. Like obviously the big thing for bass content is being able to either teach it or innovate it or replicate it, right?
Okay.
So, and I think that's a lot of music content in and of itself. Where it's like, hey, you're either going to do a song, you're either teaching people how to do a thing, right? You've got a song that is well loved, whatever the case may be. You're trying to add your own personal flair to it, to make your take on certain parts of the song stand out compared to the original, or you're just doing the original some justice. You know what I mean?
Right. What about brand new music?
Right, and that's more like, I guess, like in the innovation sector. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, like here's a sound. You know what I mean? Because like, there's not really a sound that's not born from another sound as music goes. You know what I mean? Sure. Like they, you know, jazz is born of blues. Blues is born of, you know, traditional African music. You know what I'm saying? But from blues and jazz, you get things like rock, country, hip hop, rap, pop music, you know, just a wide array of things from humble beginnings. You know what I mean? Very, very humble, very almost secular even beginnings. You know what I mean? So as far as like music innovation, you know, you have people who do a thing really, really well. Like one of my favorite artists, and he's not a musician in and of himself, but he's a DJ, and he you know, produces all of his own music.
Yeah.
So it takes having a knowledge of the wide array of sounds, possibilities, and then, you know, obviously direction as far as what you want to do.
Yeah.
But K Tronada, he's done some nasty stuff with the bass, and in some of my videos on my social media where I've replicated, you know what I mean, I've done some of his stuff, you know what I mean, and it's complex, but it's iconic, you know what I mean, like because he's such an innovator in and of himself, because it's house music, you know what I'm saying, which is nothing new, you know what I mean, it's house music.
Yeah.
But he's so innovative in and of his own self that, you know, it makes replicating that sound fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about that bass.
Yeah, no trouble. Fuck travel. Fuck trouble. You know. Other than that, man, I love talking to people. You know what I mean? I get a kick out of it. You know, I feel like, I don't know. It's odd. I feel some kind of human responsibility to kind of check in. You know what I mean? Especially if I can see a person, or, you know, if I can see that a person's like a good person. Like sometimes you one thing I've had to learn is discernment. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't engage every person, every vibe, every energy, just carefree. Right. You know what I mean? But those that I do choose to engage, it's like, okay, well, I'm invested one way or another. You know what I mean? I either care about you because I value you intellectually, you know what I'm saying? Not physiologically, psychologically. I don't know why I was struggling with that word. Psychologically, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or, you know, whatever.
Well, thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah. You know.
So, have you ever had your own podcast, or?
I've never had my own podcast. I've done like a few different things, and I've helped produce a few different things previously.
Cool.
But mainly like co-hosting. I've thought about it. Like, I think the main thing I want to probably branch off into is another form of like content creation. I'm not quite sure what direction I want to go yet, but I know I need to do something more.
Right.
Yeah.
What about sketches?
Like nothing for my social media. Like I've helped other people with theirs, but nothing for myself. Which, you know, I think more so when it comes to film and things of that nature. Like obviously that's the big thing on social media. Like, oh, put a sketch together, make it funny, you know, and you don't even necessarily have to. It doesn't even necessarily have to be original these days. You know, it will make you look fucking fantastic if it is.
Right. Yeah. I tend to like just scroll past where they're like taking
trending
audio,
mm-hmm.
and they're like mouthing it. I'm like,
mm-hmm.
come
mm-hmm.
up with something of your own.
But I've got a few ideas written down for sketches. I just hadn't, you know what I'm saying, taken the time to sit and put together, you know. And then I've got friends who actually out here do sketches. One of my friends, he's pretty big out here. His name, he goes by Smash. He's professionally Smash Going Global. And he's done a few things that blow up on TikTok and Instagram and things of that nature.
Nice.
So he and I have been talking about potentially doing it as just putting the you know what I'm saying, making the connection, making it happen.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. I started back up my video series, How to Write a Unicycle,
mm-hmm.
where I show people, you know, everybody knows how to ride a unicycle, right? But sometimes people have trouble riding a unicycle and doing something else.
Okay.
So I show you how to ride a unicycle and do this other thing.
Mm-hmm. So it's like how to ride a unicycle and make French toast.
That's a good one. I don't know if I can do that or not. I can try, maybe maybe at like a campfire or something. Yeah, that's an extra challenge.
Get a big enough kitchen, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Some elbow room.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull out all your ingredients. It'll work. You can do it. Fuck it. I say do it.
What we got to do is have everything set up.
You know what I mean? It's prep. It's all prep. The cooking is prep work anyway.
It's true.
You know.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes, because I know that if I had more time in, obviously it's a time and it's a skill thing. You know what I mean? And having more time in means more time to practice.
Right.
So yes, in that regard, I would have liked to have had more time with comedy, as it stands right now. But no, because I think when I started, I was in a good place to start. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I think if I would have started younger, I would have been way too busy doing A, B, C, or D, and then just my circumstances would. I just wouldn't have the kind of support that I did when I started. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so like it's a blessing and a curse to have started, because I started when I was 28. You know what I mean? But shit, people start later than that. You know what I mean? So it's not even like a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Sweet. So what are your goals in comedy?
Oh man, I think everybody has like this dream of like headlining or having like a special or something like that. I think my goals for comedy lie more on the other side of it. You know what I mean? Like I know that a lot of people come into this thing with, you know, oh, well, I got to do stand up. I got to do stand up. If I don't do stand up, it's like I for me, I view stand up as kind of like an avenue into more. You know what I mean? Because like stand up is cool. It's great. I love stand up. Don't get me wrong. But it's like there's so much more that you can do after, or you know what I'm saying, branching off from it. So I think with stand up, I want to get as big as fucking possible. I want to, you know what I'm saying, blot out I want to, you know, outshine the sun.
Sure, but if you want to do more, what's the more? You want to do acting? You want to do writing?
I mean, anything.
Writing in general.
Yeah, you know, anything involving writing for sure. And then acting, obviously, yeah. You know what I mean? That's where the fucking money's at. You know, I'm not about to start being a rapper at 31 years old, dude. You feel me? Who the fuck wants to hear about back pain on a track? You know. Black Weird Al Yankovic, the fuck.
You never know.
You never know. But no.
What you want to do.
I think I want to get to a point eventually where writing becomes the focus of what I do. You know what I mean? Like comedy, I want to get massive doing this shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm
so
saying?
would
Obviously,
you write like jokes for other people, or
I don't know if I
write
necessarily
like a short story, or what are we talking?
I don't know if I necessarily like write jokes for other people, like unless I was doing something like improv. You know what I mean, or like skits or something like that. I could write jokes for skits. Or I could write skits. You know what I mean, sketches and things of that nature.
Okay.
If I was going to be writing for somebody else, I probably wouldn't do something like that. But shit, man, I don't know. Like I've put together little mini films and things of that nature. You know, for school. You know.
Okay.
And I've always had these very colorful dreams, you know what I mean? Or I think everybody does, but to be able to memorize it, remember it after, you know, you wake up long enough to be able to say, okay, this is an idea that I can put together and put to paper, and like this is not something that I just had and, you know, oh, it was a cool dream. I wrote it down in my fucking spirit journal and put it under lock and key and slept with it under my pillow, or no fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing like that. But, you know, I think that there is room enough for the creativity of mind to get out there and do whatever, you know what I'm saying, especially as far as writing goes. You know, like we just had that whole shit with the writer's strike up in, you know what I'm saying, where everybody was using AI to create these generic ass scripts, and they were good enough, you know.
Well, I think part of it was that,
and then obviously compensation for
yeah,
their
they
but like that,
when
you know,
when
one into the
you're
other.
renewing contracts, you want to like evolve and keep up with the times and write stuff in. Like,
you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, what is your favorite joke right now? It could be anybody's joke.
Oh God, it's funny because I just did the roast battle last night.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think it's got a like funniest joke right now, and like he's gonna hate me for it, but it was Jackie's joke against Pacey, where she was like, Pacey's a walking contradiction. He's the type of guy to have a "Don't tread on me" sign on his treadmill. Like her delivery was so, it was like, yo, what up? Her delivery was so. The delivery made it so much funnier. You know what I'm saying? I think. Plus, like, kind of seeing him taken aback by it, I was like, sheesh. You know what I'm saying? That was a good right hook. So like being here, doing that, you hear a lot of good jokes. You hear a lot of good fucking jokes. Because obviously, like the illustrious Pat Barker was there, the gorgeous Maddie Mays, Mike Venn, this, you know, this, that, and the third, and they were up there. But they're, you know what I'm saying? But that Jackie really, that was really good.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was impressed. I was like, oh shit, Jackie, what the fuck? You got that in the tank?
Yeah, improv background.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. Improvers are really good roasters. Like a lot of the improv roast battles have been funny as shit, like hilariously funny.
Yeah, like I feel like it would be really good fun and a good challenge, just like to get a group of comedians together and say, you know, we're just gonna pull from a bucket. So start writing roast jokes for everybody in this room. And then, you know, maybe like on deck is going to be Melvin against Pacey or whatever, you know, and then...
Oh, like a tournament style thing?
Or it doesn't have to be a tournament. It could just be like, I don't know, whatever makes sense. Yeah,
like you put all your names in a bucket and then like, hey, you pull this comic and then this comic out of the group.
Yeah, like maybe like say, okay, we're going to start in 5 minutes. The first roaster is, you know...
You gotta give them less time than that. You got 2 minutes. You're going up in 2 minutes. You gotta come up with, you know what I mean? Like put the you know what I mean? At least for me.
Well, I say 5 minutes because it's gonna take try to give everybody about the same amount of time because you're only gonna call who's on deck, right? So those people are gonna step outside and like think of jokes for each other.
Okay.
You know. And then
within that time,
and then like until the end of the show.
Right. No, that makes sense. Okay, I get that.
Because I feel like that is more impressive to me, you know, because like it's almost like with the comebacks, right? It's like just all comebacks because with the comeback, it's not written ahead of time usually.
I think for me. And like this is not a criticism about like the way roast battling is done, because I think just the nature from my experience, in my opinion, roasting in and of itself should be raw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, you know,
but my experience of raw is on the spot raw. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
It's just a way to ease people in, right? Because if I said we're not going to tell you who's next, there's probably not anybody that's going to want to do it. We ease them in.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of like cause even mentioning Pacey, you know, people like Pacey, people like Sabian, people like Taylor Great, people like myself, people like Fedwan, you know, some Fedwan Somo.
Sure, but I say those are the people who are probably going to have the best chance of winning.
Right, but
we need enough contestants.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Like I think that you kind of underestimate the people that are around. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, you've got those names that are going to be comfortable doing that thing.
All right, well then it's just raw.
You know what I mean?
Okay, we're gonna start. Pull 2 names. Go up.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And then don't say who's on deck. And just pull
2 more names. Come up here and roast. You know what I mean? Best 3 jokes on the spot. Johnny on the spot. What you got? You know what I mean? Granted, there you don't leave room for like rebuttal or whatever the case may be necessarily, but everything in and of itself is rebuttal. You know what I mean? Like you know, like there's no room to create or structure a joke. You know what I mean? Like you have to. You know, like I said, for me, it was always, it could be something like, okay, with your shoes, like, man, like, say for instance, okay, one thing that shoes do, right? Shoes get worn down, like the sole comes up on the toe, right? Okay. Not these are Crocs. They're not doing that. You know what I mean?
Order some custom Croc things.
I know. Look, I need to get some. You know what I'm saying? I've been walking around with naked Crocs for almost 6 months now. It's embarrassing.
I can hook you up. You want to say comedy or worse on it?
I'll rock the comedy or worse button for sure.
Hell yeah.
But no. So it was always somebody like your shoe. Damn, your shoes yelling, ain't it? Some shit like that. And then it's like, I know you're not talking with yo. And then it's like, yo, with my man, yo. You know what I mean? It's that. Sure. It's that kind of like rawness, realness, where it's all rebuttal. You know what I mean? Like you address the statement made, and then it's like, oh, you think this is bad? What about that? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's where you get like a lot of the.
So do you imagine there would be judges, or just the audience would judge?
Audience, obviously. I think with something like that, it'd be an audience, because like in that situation, it was always the reaction of the crowd that let you know if it was funny or not. Because if not, now you're just being mean to each other. You know what I mean? And
right. The option to I was thinking is either like an audience or have actual judges.
I mean, if you're going to make it like a thing like that where it's competitive, then I think it would best to have the audience vote. Or it'd be best to have the audience vote. And the audience is, here it's dangerous because the audience is probably going to be a little biased in certain situations. But especially with certain people and certain jokes. So like a judge could objectively kind of break that bias.
I think the reason to have a judge is the consistency. Hopefully you would have the same judge. And then, you know what I mean? Like, the audience is going to come and go. Mm-hmm. So it's harder to play towards the audience when, especially if you're first.
Right.
Yeah.
But for stuff like that, I think I feel like people want to sit and watch. People gather around and watch motherfuckers roast all the time on the street.
So are you gonna come to Quantum Brewing? We're gonna do it.
Or roast battle like Quantum Brewing.
Sure. After everybody goes up, just keep going.
Fucking, I'm down if that's what it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm down.
I've had people when we ran out of comics. And then there was still more time. We had like just 2 people go up there at the same time and just riff.
Because I've done something like that even down here. I don't know if you remember. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of the Irish bar that was right down the street here. Or was that down the street here, or was down the street on 5th? That
had a comedy show, Blarney's or
Blarney? No, not Blarney Stone, because I'm doing that on next Thursday.
Okay.
It was the one that Kent-Bradley was hosting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was...
Patricio's.
Patricio's. Yeah, on 4th.
Yeah. But even then, me and a good guy, really good friend of mine, Justin Dante, we did like an impromptu roast battle. And like, we're always just kind of sitting around shit talking each other regardless. You know what I'm saying? Gabe, Ramirez, at the time, we kind of kick it outside on the patio there and just shit talk regardless. So that last night there, we took our act, so to speak, down at Patricio's and went over well impromptu. Yeah. And there was no joke writing. There was no you got 5 minutes to prepare or anything like that. It was just, all right, y'all two go up. Y'all want to roast? Who want to roast? Who, you know what I'm saying? Oh, everybody's done a set. Who want to roast? Y'all two go up and roast. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, that could work for sure.
Yeah, okay. I think that's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I almost want to run out of comics now.
You know, bring them on, man. Bring up the. You never know, dude. Like I always tell people, it's the ones that are like observant. You know what I mean? Like the comics that you think might not necessarily do as well, that it have some shit to fucking say. You know, because they're observant. They sit back and they watch. So
Right.
you know, it's a thinking mind. It's a quiet mouth. You know.
Yeah. It's cool. Okay, so do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Either someone was a fan of your comedy or you were a fan of someone else's.
Fan interaction. I think my fans are always. I don't know. My fans are like emo as fuck, but not like I walk a lonely. You know what I'm saying? Not like traditional, like the look of emo, but more so they're empaths. Like I appeal to like a really empathetic base. You know, being an empath myself and my approach to comedy and my approach to like whenever I do tell jokes about my personal life, I do kind of come from like a lot of my interaction with the crowd is coming from a point of getting them to kind of feel where I'm coming from, and you know what I'm saying, like kind of force empathy out of them. Sure. You know, so like if you're a heartless fuck, you'll never understand my jokes. But I think most recently, last night, a guy who, and one of the things that I think is really fun about this and doing comedy is always making new fans. Because after the little roast last night, I got 10 new followers. Whoop whoop. Nice. And one even stayed after to, you know, just kind of encourage me. It's like, hey, I understand that this shit is like it's a hard business to do, and it's not the best paying thing, you know, especially being so young in it. But he's like, just never stop. He's like, just never stop going, you know. So I think whenever I have an interaction like that, it's always, I love those interactions. The only other ones that are that are fun, not as like touching, you know what I'm saying, I don't like them as much, but they're more fun, is when people want to like come up and want to fuck me. Like it's always like a reality shock, you know, like not necessarily, you know, because I'm a large dude or whatever, so I'm not really necessarily expecting people to see me and I want to fuck that chocolate motherfucker right now, you know. But like it's always interesting, especially being at comedy clubs, because there's not like really like they're all comedy clubs sell liquor, you know what I mean, and like that gives people liquid courage or whatever, you know what I'm saying. It gives them the excuse to be uninhibited, you feel me?
Right.
So like I've had it as plain and simple as I've had it as cunning as, oh, you know, maybe we can exchange hoodies or something like that, you know, to as blatant as you look like you can fuck. You know. You know, so like that those two interactions I think are the most fun.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Super cool. So what's your favorite place to do comedy?
Ooh, my favorite place to do comedy right now, honestly, is the Jazzy Wishbone up in Oceanside. Nice. With Kyle Dean and those guys. Ever Loving Comedy. I adore Kyle Dean. He is such a good guy, you know what I'm saying? He works really hard putting that crowd together up there. You know what I'm saying? Jazzy Wishbone, he works really hard keeping everything consistent, as well as, you know, being a regular fuck like the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? He then leaves from his regular life to come and help us put that on every Thursday night. You know what I mean? As well as doing like all the pulling and all the, you know what I'm saying? I love Jazzy. plus the club is fun. You know what I mean? It's outside. I love the fresh air. You know what I mean?
It's like out in the back.
Mm-hmm. It's out back. It's out back. I think my first time I ever did Jazzy, it was inside in the front where the musicians play, like some time ago. I met a lot of people then too. Interesting.
Yeah, I think I only did it when it was inside, so it was like, this is cool. But then I heard it was outside. I was like, oh.
Yeah, way more space.
Yeah.
Way more space. The acoustics are better than I think the inside was. Because the inside wasn't bad, but I feel like a lot of the feedback was coming right back to you. Whereas outside, it just goes out.
And it's nice to have a separation.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Plus they still have the musicians.
Intentionally there. Like go get something from the bar and then go.
Yeah, exactly.
Go where the comedy is.
And then they bring the food out to the patio now as well. So you don't even have to exactly. You feel me? So Jazzy Wishbone's a fly place. I love it. I gotta
try to get back over there.
Hell yeah, man.
Let's see. So what was your family like growing up?
There was a bunch of us for sure. There was a grip of us. I'm the eldest of 6 siblings. You know what I mean? Not all in one house, but the eldest of 6. But like the family that like we were in the same house, like my 2 brothers and then my step siblings who would come and go frequently. We were pretty close. You know what I'm saying? Like we're pretty tight. We're pretty cool people. We're all real down to earth. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things with us just kind of is what it is. Like there's a lot of people who bullshit themselves and then they bullshit each other because they bullshit themselves. We're not that. So I'm fortunate there. You know what I'm saying? And everything was smooth. I think pretty much for the most part. Like you know what I'm saying, I was a '90s kid, so obviously I got my ass whooped like everybody else did. But I'm fortunate to have had the kind of network or really not to have had, but to have the kind of network that I do really backing me as far as like my mom, my pops, my siblings. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool. So where did you grow up?
So between San Francisco and Alabama. Yeah, crazy split, ain't it?
Yeah.
I think growing up, especially during like my high school years, like middle school, high school years, in Alabama, because that's when we moved to Adamsville, Alabama. It's the place called small little, I guess suburb out in the like greater Birmingham, Alabama area, like way out there. But we moved to Adamsville, Alabama in 2006, I want to say it was. Christ, dating myself. It's 20 fucking years ago, damn near.
So from San Francisco to Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And it wasn't such a culture shock, I suppose, because I was still around black people. You know what I'm saying? Like at the time in San Francisco, there were black people. But I think just the cultural difference was so different. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like one thing about me, I've never been uncomfortable around like white people. You know what I'm saying? Or like other races, or you know what I'm saying? Like my mom, being from San Francisco, it's a melting pot. It's even with me making the black people comment, like there's still a huge like black cultural significance in and around the city. Just even from like the way people speak, the way people interact, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But because it's such a diverse city and there's so many different cultures and things of that nature there, you grow up with an appreciation for the unknown, so to speak.
Right.
Whereas down there, it was more so the unknown was kind of like scary, not necessarily scary, but they just didn't try shit. You know what I mean? Like I remember one time I was in high school. I never forget this shit. I was in high school and I made a friend in middle school named Jesse Barnes. white dude, messy blonde hair, skated. I skated at the time. I tried to skate here and there, but I was more so in it then.
Yeah.
Younger. That's what you do, especially being, you know what I'm saying. That's what you do from college. You know what I'm saying. That's what you do. But it was nice meeting someone down there that skated. The skating down there is nothing like here at all. Like, let me say, because there's no fucking sidewalk. First of all, there's no sidewalks. You know what I'm saying?
So what would they do?
I mean, you're in the middle of the road, essentially.
Their own ramps?
As far as stuff like that, yeah, you build your own ramp. But they had like skate parks here and there, but they were like more so in the white areas. You know, it's Birmingham, it's Alabama. They were white areas. That's where the skate parks and shit were.
So they chase you out of there? Or?
No.
It just was far to go.
Mm-hmm. It was way out of the way. Unless you live there, obviously, but. My mom's not going to move me. We're not going to move the family to a skate park just because I want to go be rad. You feel me? Because I want to go get fucking tricky in the middle of the day, or you know what I'm saying? Because I had a bad day after school. No. So like a lot of that skating out there was like street. Like I got like way better at street skating there. Because again, the roads are one. There's no sidewalks, and the roads are like garbage. So like you really learn how to like skate in the middle of the road, and I don't know, I had to loosen my trucks to get around. Anyway,
yeah, like I remember trying to skateboard in Santa Rosa. It's fucking crazy.
You feel me?
A little bit of rocks.
You're done. Rock. That's done. You're fucked. I've got a scar on my back from I was powerbombing this hill that I underestimated to go see a girl. And like I've like bombed hills before, right? But like this was a power. Like I didn't think this shit was as steep as it was. I like looked down and I was like, I walked down like 10 feet of it, and I was like, fuck it, I'll hop on from here and then we'll just ride it out. Take the momentum into the curve and go. I think maybe like 10 seconds into this ride, I got speed wobbles bad, like bad. But like I wasn't no bitch, so I wasn't about to bail out. I've got speed wobbles before, whatevs.
This is gonna get worse.
Nah, so like what you know what I'm saying, you center up, you know what I'm saying. I made my body as fucking centrally focused as possible. Once that shift happened there, I widened out a little bit more, bits and pieces kind of even out, and I ended up making it through like the trough of the hill, going up into another hill.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Hella juice, because I beat the speed wobbles, right? And then pebble. Because who the fuck do you think you are? And it was one of those things, like where time.
That's the worst, because now the cement is closer to your head, right?
No, it was
up.
So by that point, I'd been skating for like 6-7 years, I want to say. So I'd already know. I knew how to fall. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
But it was one of those things where you have like an out of body experience. I literally saw like my body, like where the pebble was, my body soaring like above the asphalt, and my skateboard gently bouncing off into the grass. Like I had bad road rash after that. I was like skating in it was the middle of the summer. I was skating in shorts and a tank top because it's the deep south and it's 90 something fucking degrees.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's awful.
Good memories. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, scared my girlfriend. Met her dad for the first time. That was trippy. You know what I'm saying?
So you didn't break anything?
Nah. Bad road rash. Like I said, I knew how to fall. You know what I'm saying? And it was one of the ones like I knew fall on my back. You know what I'm saying? Fall on my back, tuck my head. You know what I'm saying? There's more muscle back there. I ended up like rolling a little bit, so I got like a rash here on this leg. Let me see. You can see it's kind of old now, but yeah, that there, and then on my upper back from
crazy
wearing summertime clothes, skating in the fucking south. Yeah. And like again, like I like for context, like I nailed it. You know what I'm saying? Like I had it, but then pebble.
Exactly. So what is your earliest memory?
Light. Literally that light.
Wow. He remembers him being born.
Like dead at light. Like that's the first thing I'd like.
Sweet.
Trippy shit. I feel like most people do low key though. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't necessarily remember, you know what I'm saying, everything, but light is the very like as far as if I go back as far as I can remember, light. And then like bits and pieces from like daycare. You know, Power Rangers and things of that nature, Teletubbies, whatever. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what's the biggest audience you performed for?
I think the biggest was, I want to say it was like 130 something at Music Box. But that was like, we were doing like a collective thing. So it wasn't just me. Like I ended up bringing 8 people or whatever the case may be. But there were a few other, like artists, local artists, and things of that nature that were also part of the collective. But I had the, you know, obviously the fortune of entertaining their fans as well. So like I think like $130 something. Maybe it might have been more than that. I have to double check to see how many were in attendance. It was a pretty decent show. I was at the Music Box, not far from here, with Raw Collective.
So that was playing music?
No. I wasn't playing music. No. There were like other musicians and stuff there, but I did stand up. I opened up the whole show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, cool beans. It was cool shit. You know, I liked being able to do it like that. I personally, I guess if I could have had it my way, I'd have liked to have been like a break in between. You know, but to be able to open up, do my set in front of, you know what I'm saying, over 100 people, you know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool shit, especially there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a cool-ass venue.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So would you ever do a character on stage?
If I was telling a story, maybe. Like, if I were to try to... Like, obviously, like, there are certain stories where if you're talking about, like, if I'm talking about my brother or, like, my uncle or whatever the case may be, I want to try to embody them as much as I can. But I don't think I'd necessarily get on stage like a Miss Gertie or like a old Hal from the fish market or no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think necessarily that I would. But I know it works for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You know.
Okay, so have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
Nah, not yet. You know, like I've not necessarily even done like a real. I don't want to say like a real comedy contest because like the stuff out here and it's cool and it's fun. You know. And then like winning like open mics or whatever the case may be is fun, obviously as well, because you know that's also you get to see like you know other acts like poets, you know musicians, things of that nature. So winning open mics is always cool. But as far as like a comedy contest, nah. One that I want to get in on is Slow Fest.
Where's that at?
San Luis Obispo. Slow Fest happened. It's happening, or it might be happening right now. Actually, I haven't checked. Like once submission closed and I didn't get an email saying, "Hey, come to," I stopped giving a fuck.
Did you have to pay money to enter?
Yeah, it's not bad though. And then like the cool thing about it's obviously like a grab in that regard, but you can submit again. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of, you know, obviously doing comedy. It's like who you know and what you've done as opposed to what you can do. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times when it comes to stuff like that, because they want to sell tickets. You know what I'm saying? Like you being there is cool, you know, but we want to sell tickets. You know, and it'd be cool to give. It'd be cool of them to give some nobody, you know what I'm saying, a big enough stage in front of that many people. You know, but it's like if you can bring us tickets, we want those. You know what I'm saying? So it's just time with that. But I'm looking forward to getting on there eventually.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Quantum Brewing, we're doing best set of the night, gets a portion of the tips. So.
No, look, I knew you guys do that. Look, I didn't win the last time I came. I was like, oh, well, shit. Yeah,
I mean, sometimes, like, nobody votes, and then I just have to decide. But, yeah, there's been a few times, that people actually voted for people. So
I said the last time I know you said you had best, but I ended up having to leave because I left to go to dinner. So
yeah. I mean, having to leave early doesn't necessarily lose you votes.
Well, no, but it was it was like cool. Well, this is neat that y'all are doing it.
Yeah, I think I need to like try to figure out how to like use a projector or something to like so people can like say, oh, that was Melvin. So they, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a process. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, just trying to think of ways for people to like as many reasons as possible. I'm trying to like collect email addresses and in the form they can put their favorite comic.
Okay, yeah. Like have it attached to like a thing like with the whenever they get the ticket off of Eventbrite or what have you.
It's like during the event, so it's on slotted. So one of the questions on slotted, for the voting is just like who's your favorite comic.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Right on. I get that. Yeah.
And then like if they basically subscribe to I put them into the Eventbrite, and then it's so easy if people just want to unsubscribe. So. Yeah.
Right on.
And then I'm sure there's people that already got a ticket through Eventbrite, so it's not even a new email. But
same, easier
just
process.
Trying,
right.
There's so many ways people could come in through a flyer, through Eventbrite, through Meetup, a friend or whatever.
Right.
Friend of a comic, or even just a regular at Quantum Brewing. Yeah. Anyway, so how far have you gone for comedy?
Like on the road?
Sure.
I want to say like the furthest has been Woodland up north, but like the most traveling done was definitely on tour with Jack last year, definitely because like just the hours from here to Litchfield Park, and then the hours from there to Prescott, and then the hours from Prescott to Flagstaff, and then from there to Lake Havasu City, you know what I mean, and then back home, so like that is definitely the most I've done so far.
All right, cool. So have you done Alabama?
No, I have a friend who does stand up in Alabama. And he recommended. I actually made connection with a club down there in Montgomery, and they like my stuff. Is the time that I was down there last year, because I had a prior engagement. The time I was down there last year, for me to have been able to go do a set, I just didn't have enough time for it to make sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With respect to like where my family is and where we were, and then where we would have had to have gone, and then just to get back. It was just entirely too much. So I do have that in the bag. So, but I have not done Alabama yet. No, which is it's not disheartening because I know that I've got like a fan base there, which is fun. Like it's fun having like people who will come support, and have even done comedy there.
Yeah.
And not just my family, but like. Obviously, like my friends, and then like the people that I've met that have come here from Alabama, have seen me. You know what I mean?
What about San Francisco?
San Francisco, I've done a few things, but nothing major. Like there's like a whole they call it like the Bay Area. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's a page on Facebook.
Yeah,
I think it's the Mutual Aid Network or some shit like that. But it's like a bunch of artists in the area, and everybody's always putting on a show somewhere. So like doing comedy in San Francisco, it's cool. You know what I mean? Especially being able to relate. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, my teenage formative years I spent in Alabama, and then my adult formative years I've been here in San Diego. So when I do go home to San Francisco, a lot of the time it's just me relating with them on a personal, you know what I'm saying? Like, gas, you know, taxes, weed, and then again, well, look, it might not work in a rap song, but people love talking about being fucking old and hurting on stage. They relate to it immediately, especially at a comedy club. You know what I'm saying? People relate to it.
Yeah, there's like a comedy club out in Santa Rosa, my hometown. So that's kind of cool.
Right on.
Yeah, that's just an hour more north of San Francisco.
You know, that's not far at all. I didn't know that. Right on. Yeah. Damn.
I haven't got to go yet, but maybe one day.
Reach out, dude. That's what I look. That's how I got in contact with the people in Alabama. Like, the friend of mine that does stand up out that way. He was just like, hey, here's the club info. You know what I'm saying? Let them know that you know me. And like, obviously that helped out a little bit, but I know talking with Jack and a few other people who have done tours before, a lot of it is just reaching out before and then booking it. Like, hey, we'll be here this date, this time.
Yeah, I just got to figure out when I'm going to be able to get back to Santa Rosa.
Yeah, and that's the whole bitch, ain't it? You know.
Yep. Just a matter of money and time.
Yeah.
So, what's your best booking story? Either you booked somebody to be on your show, or maybe like the tour was the best one, or whatever.
My best booking story. So to celebrate my first year doing stand up, I put on a show, right? And I kind of got it working a little bit, like obviously a few months prior to doing all the legwork and, you know, creating. Look, for me, it wasn't just, you know, this is what I'm going to do for the comics or whatever the case may be. Like, there were contracts and everything. It's like, hey, this is what we agree to pay you, this, that, and the third. Anything else you make after that is a gift. You know, so like I had contracts for everybody, you know, written up. I had contracts for the for the owner of the venue that we use. We had a whole business plan and everything. On that show, I booked, and you know, I think time really kind of shows the kind of powerhouse that show was at the time. I booked Sabian Ware, Camille Waters, Taylor Gray, Fedwan Somo, and Joey DeMuro, who is more famous out east. He calls himself Florida Man or some shit like that. I can't remember. Florida Man, something like that. But he used to be out this way. And then I'm meeting him through the owner of that the facility that we were using, and because they had a podcast themselves. So I met him through that. So I was able to book him as well, which was fun and it was nice. So I think as far as booking, that.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
You know, and I paid everybody, which is always a good feeling. You know, everybody, oh, you don't have to pay me. The time is enough. I appreciate the time. It's like, no. You know what I'm saying? For me, my business, my principle, this dude's making this much money off the door. You are owed something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, yeah, you know, you're getting time to work out your shit, but, you know, this is also, you know what I'm saying? This is your time, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, the goal is, with Quantum Brewing now, there's a new owner, so they want to make it from a free show to a paid show, be able to, like, pay everybody.
That's, you know, people always, even if it's, people always appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Pay all the features.
You know?
And then maybe pay the best open mic set or something.
You know, look, give them
as an incentive to come to the open mic.
Give them some gear. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Don't pay them. Give them some gear. Give them some Vans with the bananas on them.
Okay.
You know.
Sure. You think that's a good thing? Okay.
You know, promote your merch. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, plus it'll give open micers, I think, something to be like, oh yeah, you know, I went here and I had the best set at the open mic, so, you know, I got bow from Aaron Trahan, and it's your brand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good thing. Good good idea.
That's what I would do. Shit. You know, if I had stickers, like, yo, bow, there you go, bow. You know what I'm saying? Get you a sticker and a t-shirt. Pow. You feel me? You know.
Yeah, that sounds great. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
Worst thing about comedy? If I had to think about a thing that I dislike about comedy, is just how, I guess, cliquey it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never liked to align myself with anything or anybody or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a gangbanger. You know? I wish that.
Right. But anytime anybody brings that up, like, it's not that I want to push back. I would just remind everybody that humans are social animals.
No, I understand that.
It's not more cliquey in comedy than any other thing.
No, and I understand that, and it's not necessarily to say that
you know who you like more than other people. It's just
no, and I get that, but for me, I even in work environments, I don't necessarily do like the cliquey thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to be free flowing and go where I want to go and work with who I want to work with. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be judged away for doing a show for this comic because this comic likes my material or this comic. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I'm getting paid to do it. I don't want to be judged at one venue by one set of people for working somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that. The comedy clubs themselves definitely.
You know what I mean?
Some are worse than others.
And for me, it's like, dude, I'm here to work. I'm here to work.
On your side, anybody's side.
As far as like people, whatever, you know, I don't care.
The roast battle when Gordon's saying other comedy clubs and certain judges are saying boo.
You know, look, and like I wanna.
It just gets old after a while.
You know, and I wanna be allowed to work where I want to work. You know what I'm saying? And like shit, if the motherfuckers, especially for me, especially if I'm being paid to be there. You know what I'm saying? And even if I'm not being paid to be there and I'm just doing it because I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? I think one time I saw Big J Okerson randomly pop out at Mic Drop. Random as hell. Just because he was in town and wanted to go work on some shit. You know what I'm saying? They obviously didn't pay him to be there. It was an open mic. You know, but he, like stuff like
on the open mic?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, interesting shit.
He didn't even just pop into the main show.
No, walked in an open mic because I went up like 4 comics later. I ended up going up after. I can't remember his name. He's got the Frenchie. You know what I'm talking about? He's Middle Eastern. He's got the Frenchie. I can't remember his name right now, but him. I went up after him. Ali. Yeah. So like that was like that. Look, that was on the purple stage. So interesting shit was going on that night for me, as far as like my drop's concerned. You know, purple stage open mic. Wow, what is this?
Wow.
So
it was on the main stage.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Purple room, the Ube room. Ube room is fucking as they call it now. You know, it's a big world going on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Super cool. So do you enjoy watching other people work on jokes?
Yeah, I do. Especially like places like here, like here at Madhouse. Mm-hmm. In rooms like this, because...
Yeah. We're at the Madhouse in the brick room.
You know what I mean? It also kind of depends on like the environment and who I'm here with. Like if I'm here just kind of waiting to go up and I'm ready to split, I might like it, I might not like it. But if I'm here to have a good time and I'm here to, also commune and watch, I'll sit and watch whoever do whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? And some of it's good, but some of it's like, it's like, you sure you want to say that? And not necessarily that it's
You're
like
still doing that joke.
It's
not getting any better.
And for me, I'm not going to say that because I've seen.
I think stuff like that. I can't help but think that.
Well, so
I try.
Well, no, and like I get that.
Get better.
But like I've seen people
or just put it aside and work on it later.
Oh yeah. But like for me, it's like I've seen people out here. Like there's a comic that I started around. Like I think we started at the same time. His name is Dominic Lerma out here. I don't know if you know Dominic.
Yeah. I think he's hosting the open mic right now.
Oh, good for him. Good for him.
Over at Yellow Door.
Right on. But when he first started, obviously it was something that was for me, and I don't want to say obviously because I don't know his story, but I feel like him dealing with hemorrhoids was new for him, and it was, probably jarring at the time, right. You know what I'm saying? Because it was one of the things where, you could tell he was trying to make light of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I initially kind of was like, oh, man, that joke's not really going over well. You know what I'm saying? It's not really doing this. It's not really doing that. Right. And, I was like, well, shit, if he keep, he obviously is going to keep working on this thing. Because every time I had seen him at that point, he was doing that same joke. And I saw recently, mind you, this is 3 years ago that he was doing this, And I saw recently, within like the last month or so, where he did that joke and it killed. And it fucking killed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's one of those things where I can't be like, oh, you're still doing that joke, if it didn't work, you feel me? I think more so the shit that where I'm kind of just like, is where people say and do things to like intentionally be jarring to the crowd to kind of like, right. push their narrative.
Right. And like you have to understand too that I try not to base it on how much I like it. Mm-hmm. It's me seeing the crowd's reaction. Right. And I've definitely seen comics where I don't really like the joke and it's like
they're eating it up.
Whoa, okay. Yeah. I see why you're doing that joke.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and I think a lot of the time it's that, Yeah. So I was like, hey, keep working it.
Or like someone like believes in the joke, or maybe only saw when it's done bad and it's done better,
So, it's that. But like, like the shit where people are just like one thing is like where like I don't know, like one thing a lot of like older and it's the funniest shit. Like a lot of older white comics who try to get away with saying like the N-word on stage, one way or another, just to fucking do it, and it's always trying to be.
But why? I just don't even see. Like I guess I just don't have even the desire.
People, you know what I'm saying, and thank you for not having the desire. But,
honestly, like when I was listening to I guess hip hop, and then it was like it started going. This is before like gangster rap was really popular. Right. It started going into gangster rap, and there are certain tunes like I was like forced to listen to, like Friends and just on the radio, and I would like start to learn. Like I started to learn the lyrics, words of colors. Right, shit.
I am a nightmare walking.
But then like when I was like moved away, and then it's just like I don't relate to this, which and other people that for some reason they related to it, even though they weren't in those situations. They were, you know what I mean? Like
I get that, yeah. But for me, I think though when you're talking about music in that way, like for instance, like. My mom, the reason why I want to play the bass, you know what I'm saying, and like not to be like the stereo, play the bass. Most of my bass content is rock. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Be it new metal, be it, you know what I'm saying, classic rock. I think the first song that I was ever requested to learn, and it's oddly enough was like by my high school defensive line coach. The first song I was ever requested to learn was Freebird. And but I like when I talked to my mom about what got her so into new metal and then metal and things of that nature, it was bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, bands like Korn, you know what I'm saying, where
Red Hot Chili Peppers early stuff, it was not good.
No,
Because I remember very distinctly in high school, like one of our younger friends in the neighborhood, like, and like he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Butthole Surfers," and we're just like, "What?" And he like puts it on. I'm like, "This isn't good."
But then it's like, but then they found their sound, man, and then that just
because like once they got popular and I liked them, I'm like, wait, was I being too critical because of the name, or I just wasn't ready for it? You know?
But I think,
and then I listened to it again. I'm like, no, it's still not good.
They innovated. That's the innovation I was telling you about earlier.
You could kind of hear a little bit of something that they had.
Their roots, right?
Yeah, but I was like, it's still. Maybe if they did it over, you know, like re-recorded it or something, it would be better. But I was still not impressed with that stuff anymore.
But like that, I think that just shows like the growth of an artist, or like artists in general. I think that in and of itself shows like the growth of artists. Like, damn, man, we really want to do this thing. I really love this thing, and I've got a passion for this, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I'm constantly, I'm obsessed with this thing, but the way I'm doing it just isn't working. Well, and then I think the natural thought becomes, how can I do this? What do I need to do differently? What can I change? Well, you know what I'm saying? Either about myself or about the way that my approach to this thing to make this better. And Red Hot Chili Peppers did that. You know what I'm saying? Shit, Korn did too. If I'm not mistaken, Korn started off as like a fusion jazz band or some shit like that, or like the bassist was like he wasn't even like a metal bassist. He was like a legit. You know what I'm saying? One of those bassists. But being able to feel like that is a talent in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like even like the Beastie Boys were a punk band.
You feel what I'm saying? And then
then they started doing rap as like making fun of it.
But y'all are good though, cause like fucking Paul Revere is classic as fuck.
They were making fun of it, and then they started to fall. If you act like a certain way, they started actually
like kind of like the hip hoppy bucket hat jumpsuit.
They started. I don't know them. It's just what I've heard. They started acting that way, and then they fell into some of those stereotypes, and then they started becoming more spiritual and later on. So
kind of was like, let me just that's been cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Right. You know what I'm saying? The unblackening of the Beastie Boys.
What's that?
The unblackening of the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, exactly. Got in touch with their Buddhist side.
Right on. Well, that's good for them.
Yeah. All right, cool. So is there any famous comics that you would be excited if they like had found footage of like them like doing early sets and showed progression of how they got better, or
like a famous comic? I mean, so like there are a lot of famous comics that I've like watched and seen them progress. Like,
nice.
'cause I've always loved comedy. I've always even watched comedy. I don't know if you remember back in the day, Comedy Central Presents. I've seen on there, and even at one point in time, they even had the series on Netflix. I don't know why they took it away. Comedy Central's doing what they want to do right now.
Okay.
But I've seen on Comedy Central Presents Kevin Hart, Gabriel Iglesias, Greer Barnes, Dave Chappelle. You name it. Whomever on there.
But have you like seen them at an open mic before they were famous?
No, I think like as far as comics whose stuff I've seen like that has been like Chappelle, Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, things of that nature, and they're all like it's cool to see where they came from. You know what I'm saying? But like again, that is what I'm talking about as far as like there's more on the other side of comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like they're actors, but I think one work that Chris Rock has done that is very well loved, where you don't even see him, but you hear him. Everybody hates Chris. You know what I'm saying? Adam Sandler, one where you don't see him but you hear him. 8 Crazy Nights. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, that's the name of the movie.
I think so, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like there's you already have to write your jokes. You know what I'm saying? You already have to tell stories as it is. You know, so that. But I don't think there's been one where I've seen where like they were like in an open mic, because like at the end of the day, like if you want to be completely transparent, having the ability to just record yourself and be able to promote your own stuff or even have that type of footage, that's a modern thing, I think.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Where people are, even then, most people don't record open mics. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, even sometimes myself, I won't visually, like I'll audio record my set, but sometimes I won't even visually record my set if I'm at it, open mic, depending on if I can get like a place to put my camera or whatever, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not feeling it,
Makes sense. All right, probably should wrap up. We're going to start letting people in. It's going to get louder in here.
Right on.
So do you have any merch that you're selling?
No, not yet. The only thing that I'm working on is a ginger ale, but I'm going to eventually link one with the other. But the ginger ale is its own separate business venture right now.
All right. Yeah. How do you find that?
So I've got an Instagram for it right now. There's not much to it. I'm doing a few different things with shelf life as far as putting an organic citric acid in it. Okay. One that I can measure a little more effectively than trying to estimate how much citric acid's in a cup of lemon juice, or you know what I'm saying. So I'm working on the shelf life with that right now. There's nowhere to buy it just yet, but that is coming down the pipeline.
All right, but how do people get a hold of you on social media?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Melvin McKinney, or Mr. McKinney Jokes. I'm also on TikTok under Organic Ginger Ale. It's organic with a Q instead of a C. Ginger ale, all one word, obviously because it's TikTok. And then I've got a YouTube where I post a lot of my content that I've done, be it open mics or whatever the case may be, at Melvin McKinney Comedy.
All right, cool. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll end it and then we'll just do a quick promo.
Okay.
So thanks for watching. This has been comedy
or
worse.
Or worse, but it's been comedy.